Call to order the Town of New Windsor's Town Council meeting for March 5th, 2025. If everyone would stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Evening, everyone. We go by an agenda. Our meetings are recorded electronically. Anybody wishing to have something on the agenda should have had it to the town hall last Wednesday by 3 o'clock. Anyone wishing tonight, sign up over here by your town attorney. Let's see, public hearing first. Sorry about that. Public hearing for ordinance 2-5-25. And that is basically to send our water and sewer bills to landlords.
All property owners instead of any tenants.
Owners, yes. Thank you. All property owners. Anybody have any questions from the council? Any comments or questions from the public? Not hearing any. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 02-05-25?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion to close the for ordinance 02-05-25. All those in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. 2025 Town Council meeting. Dana's the
Second.
Town Council. Okay. Report. I met with Brad Gist, who wants to fix up one of Seibel's fields for a team. I want to thank Gary for working with Brad, getting a group. West Carroll, take them under their wing. So I don't know if you have a contact.
Just Eric Myers, yeah.
All right. Councilman Huffman and I met with a resident who is requesting 3 parcels to be removed from the future growth area, which I think Councilman Huffman will bring up at the next Planning Commission meeting. I met with Councilman Cornick to discuss town issues. I secured election judges for the May 13th town election. I attended the evening in Annapolis with District 5 and talked to the delegation about our streetscape project. Signed a grant agreement for the Rescue to Residents project, and I finalized setting up an account for the fire company Benvinity Causes. Lowe's is a partner with Benvinity, and we've already gotten some donations towards the 211 High Street project. Not major, but still it started. And it's kind of like a GoFundMe type thing. And those are my other meetings. And after the meeting tonight, that's why I'm talking fast. I want to go to I'm be going to the Maryland Mayor's Association Winter Conference in Annapolis for the next 2 days. And then we have the Maryland Municipal League Carroll County Chapter Dinner coming up later this month. All right. Community Enhancement, Councilwoman Schultz.
Yeah, I'll talk fast.
Yeah.
I attended the work session, the HSP Executive Committee, the Carroll County History Day, and Carroll County Downtowns, which met on February 6th. They're continuing to work on the map of historical sites for the Carroll 250 History Project, and New Windsor Heritage members are helping with this since they already have a New Windsor walking tour map. Mark your calendars. Beautification Day is April 26th, starts at 8 a.m. This is an opportunity to participate in helping keep New Windsor clean and beautiful, and it's a good opportunity for students to get community service hours, so more info to come. I also participated as a judge in the Carroll County History Day competition on March 1st, which is an opportunity for students to do things like websites and exhibits and papers, documentaries and performances, so I was a judge for that. Students did a really good job. And then just a reminder that HSP, or Human Services Programs of Carroll County, does do free tax preparation for a household income of less than $67,000. So their information is on their website, HSP. That's it.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilman Huffman.
Good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Public Works plowed and salted after the one snow event we had in February. They oversaw delivery of one load of salt. We just needed to get one in there, just in the event we had any additional inclement weather this winter. Public Works rented the lift and removed the Christmas wreaths from the utility poles around town. They also removed all the remaining Christmas decorations from the town parks. Public Works cleaned the storm drains in the Atlee Ridge community. They policed the town properties, looking for downed limbs after the recent high winds we experienced in the area. Public Works has the Gear Lane area and the dumpsters ready for spring. And a fun fact I wanted to bring up, during the snow events this winter, Public Works drove a total of 577 miles plowing and salting the town roads. And I believe that we only have 5 or 6 miles of actual.
A little more, but not much.
Now,
Maybe 8 or 9.
right.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot of routes.
A lot of routes, yes. So they did a great job this past winter, and we thank them for that. The Planning Commission, we did not meet in February. Our next scheduled meeting is Monday, March 24th at 6 p.m. I attended the Town Council scheduled meetings, and as the mayor mentioned earlier, I met with the mayor and a town resident discussing some Planning Commission-related land topics.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Water and Sewer, Councilman Hall.
All right, so the second round of letters for the Main Street, the Maryland 31 water project has been sent to the residents of the 300 block of Main Street. The meters are in vaults and have been programmed and are in use. It's just the old meters are still needing to be removed. A resident on High Street had concerns about a connection point after the meter delete. First Class responded quickly and fixed the issue, honoring their warranty guarantee. The resident was very pleased with the repairs, and no issues occurred at this residence. Public Works assisted in the delivery of a new backup generator you might see at the Blue Ridge Pump Station. The pump station will be placed on bypass early next week. That's part of that project. And then lastly, the Public Works Department has been experiencing issues at the Atlee Sewer Station. We're seeing a lot more wipes being flushed. We've had that in the past, so just remember, don't flush anything down the pipes that shouldn't be.
No wipes down the pipes.
No wipes down the pipes.
Director Myers, are we still seeing a lot of grease?
No, not as much anymore, so we're pretty fortunate with that. And the wipe incident just started back up again within the last couple weeks, so knock on wood, no sewer backups, no pump issues.
Are we still having them flushed out every now and then or not?
Yes,
Yeah.
as a maintenance schedule every 3 months.
All right, thank you. Public Safety and Health, Councilman Cornick.
Good evening, residents of New Windsor and folks here in attendance. I have a very brief report. I have the Opioid Prevention Coalition meeting coming up next month. As the mayor said, we met for a little bit to discuss some town issues and attended all the town meetings. That's all I have.
Thank you. Economic Development, Councilman Frock.
I too have a short one. Attended all the council meetings. We attended the Lions Book Club reading. Thank you for Lions Club for putting that on. It's always a wonderful time.
Thank you for attending.
Worked with Town Manager Dye on water and tax proposals as he's filling out the budget, and continuing to research expected renovation costs and future uses for Dealman Inn. That's it.
Thank you. I didn't tell everybody to be real short, but I appreciate it. Town Manager, let's keep it going.
My report's short, the rest of it's I don't know about. But just 2 things in my report. Town staffing, all 3 positions have been filled. We are fully staffed. So the Public Works Maintenance 1 started February 20th. That's Josh Small, who has worked with us in the past before. The part-time receptionist started February 26th, and that's Anne Marie Belton. And the utility maintenance assistant started March 3rd, and his name is Will Fisher. So we're fully staffed, most staff we've ever had in so parking's getting
Is that a
a
big
little.
smile on your face?
Wayne's smiling too.
There's a line for the bathroom though.
You gotta get here early if you want a parking spot. And then the Blue Ridge Pump Station upgrade, Johnston Construction remobilized and the package pump station was delivered Monday. The generator was moved from wastewater treatment plant to the station and set in place on the concrete pad. And as mentioned, Johnston Construction is working on bypass piping, and things are finally moving forward. The estimated project completion per the latest schedule, everything, punch list, everything's mid-May. That's all I got.
Everything's on schedule with that then.
Yeah, it's got pushed a little bit, but yeah, once they get rolling, it's not much. Once you get everything in place, it's not much work.
Thank you.
Time-wise.
Public Works Director.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna try to keep mine short too. I contacted CPE about some warranty repairs on Church Street, including a settling valve at Brownie Drive, and some cracking issues on Lower Church Street. So they're gonna pencil us in and get those repairs taken care of for us. Also, Public Works has been working on Hillside well site again. We had Alexander Well Drilling come in, lower the pipe to try to pump more water out of that site. Public Works used the mini excavator to install a new conduit for the transducer, which senses the water level in the well. So we were able to do that last week. Now that the weather's getting better, as everyone knows, the town has water supplies at Mainspring, Dennings, Hillside, Rope Spring, and we're looking to add Atlee Well to the system. So we're still working on that. We have to do some testing and stuff that's required by the state based on our water appropriations modification. Just to give everybody a little timeline about Hillside Wells, in 2021, Hillside Wells only produced 19,000 gallons based on the second well being offline for a significant period of time. The town has since invested a significant amount of money into that site. So in 2022, 078 was returned to service, and we were producing around 35,000 gallons per day. And in 2023, we did some more work to Hillside, and we were achieving around 43,000 gallons per day on average. And as of this week and late last week, after some other changes, we're at 58,000 to 60,000 gallons per day.
Great.
So very good investment. However, there's still some more work that we have to do there. I was talking with Carroll County Resource Management, Zachary Neal, who's one of our main contacts there, and based on some old historical data that the county has that the town did not have, when we applied for the water appropriation permit modification, Hillside potentially can do 80,000 gallons per day. So that's what we're going to try to achieve. And in order to do that, we're going to have to replace the pumps again because we're fighting system pressure changes. So when we did the MD 31 water main project, our pressures increased in certain areas and they lowered in other areas. So we're fighting, system pressure. So we'll have to get a cost estimate on that. And potentially we can get higher than 80,000 gallons. So the state's going to allow us through this modification to do a daily average of 80,000 gallons, but a monthly average of 196,000 gallons. So in an emergency situation, like if Mainspring went down, if we are successful, we can sustain off a Hillside, which is really impressive. So a lot of thanks to Carroll County Resource Management, Zach in particular, and Alexander Well Drilling for assisting us and helping us get through the challenges of this site. So that's all I have.
Very good. Now, Rook Spring, that's in the permit, but we're not getting anything from Rook Spring, correct?
Yeah, so yep, that's correct. So currently, Rook Spring is not an active water source with the town. However, it's appropriated, and therefore it allows us to draw more water in the watershed, which is Dickinson Run. So it was thought at the time to keep that on board to give us operational flexibility. It is a viable source of water, except for it's under the influence of groundwater, they call it, or GWEDI is the acronym. and it would take significant investment to filter the water to make it potable.
But it is there, though.
It is there.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Community Deputy?
I got going fast in my head, and I go fast. So hopefully I don't screw this up. Between February 5th and March 5th, 2025, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office responded to 6 calls for service within the town of New Windsor. 4 of those calls were found to be reportable. On 2/11/25 at 8:06 a.m., the Sheriff's Office responded to the 300 block of Maple Avenue for a assault report. The victim advised a driveway sealer lied about who he was and completed the work in less than 30 minutes, ultimately charging her for approximately 40 gallons of top coat. This resulted in a $4,000 bill. A respected local contractor who originally did the driveway, advised that he would charge $500 for top coating a driveway of that size. This was also solicited work. The case is open with several leads into the possible identification of the suspect. On 2/11/25 at 3:05 p.m., the Sheriff's Office responded to the 100 block of Church Street for a domestic dispute. Domestic partners at the location were found to be in a verbal argument with one another, becoming disorderly to the tenant who they were playing with at the against the lease agreement. The local business owners were additionally dissatisfied with ongoing issues regarding this pair of individuals. The parties were later separated, and this was documented as a verbal domestic. On 2/15/25 at 6:45 a.m., the Sheriff's Office responded to a check welfare in the 300 block of Lambert Avenue. A subject was found to need further medical care in lieu of dealing with a mental health crisis. The subject was transported to Carroll Hospital Center for professional care. On 3/2/25 at 1:13 a.m., the Sheriff's Office responded to a late reported domestic incident. The victim advised that the incident was verbal only. However, injuries observed appeared to be consistent with a domestic assault. The victim was transported to Carroll Hospital Center for medical care, where a domestic violence lethality screen was completed. Case closed exceptionally due to lack of victim prosecution. And this concludes my report.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
West Carroll, Fire Chief, Treasurer's Report.
All right, business license renewals are up for review. New Windsor has 19 pending applications after reviewing Town Code 62-7, annual license fees, Part B, and consulting with Town Attorney. I have mailed 3 certified letters to 3 local businesses, letting them know that they have either water sewer bills past due or a tangible property tax due to the town. The letters need to contact me by March 15th, to either set up an acceptable payment plan or to pay their past due bills in full. If I do not hear from them by March 15th, their account will be marked unpaid in the Maryland courts portal, and they will not be able to renew their business licenses until it is paid in full. A copy of the letters on the drive for you guys to review if you would like to see it. We have 2 CDs up for renewal, March 15th and 16th. I will have more information on them at the work session. One was Farmers and Merchants at 7 months for 4.64%. Original investment was $250. Interest on that should be $6,702. And then we have a CQ that matured on the March 16th. And that was a 13-month at 4.91%. Original investment, $250K. Interest on that should be $13,724.72. Election is May 13th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last day to certify for nominations is April 14th by 3 p.m.
Do we have any applications yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Plenty of
I'm
time.
currently waiting in anticipation.
What's that?
I'm waiting in anticipation.
Water and Sewer Billing Clerk.
Okay, Kim's out. She had a minor issue with eye, something going on with her eye. So she said if there's other things you want to see in her reports, just let her or myself know. But what I have here is there's 2 things. Just a general report. She refers to a spreadsheet for the water billing, which I'll show you here in a minute. She scheduled and interviewed with receptionist candidates and the utility maintenance assistant candidates. She sat in on those interviews and helped us evaluate the candidates there. Moved into a new office. preparing for the transition to her new position, and training Anne Marie, who is the new part-time receptionist. And then we had a couple snow days or delays with hours on opening. And then her spreadsheet that she has is, let me pull that up real quick. It's the quarterly read, and when things were the quarterly read, excuse me, was January 14th, mailed out January 15th. The due date is February 15th. Number of past due accounts is 79. Amount past due is $47,783 rounded up. Delinquent letters were sent out February 28th, and there were 70 letters that sent out, and the number of residents with a payment plan are 5. And then date of service interruption, if things aren't paid, is March the 10th. So you can keep that spreadsheet going each meeting to give you updates on that, and we can kind of track her information.
Off the top of your head, or is this Kim question on the past due account 79? Is that people that still have till the end of March to pay if they pay them monthly, or is that people that didn't pay the last quarter?
That's a good question, because I know a lot of people are on do the monthly billing, but I don't know for sure. You know?
I don't think she includes the monthly billing.
Because she sent
Unless they're
70.
behind.
I was gonna say she sent 70 delinquent, so I would imagine that it wouldn't.
All right. Thank you.
So if there's anything you want to see additional or other information, just let her or myself know. And
Yeah, I guess I just have a question for her. So if the assumption is that if they don't pay by the 10th or don't get on a service plan, they would be cut off?
service interruption, I
Yeah.
assume, to be shut off, yes.
So I'm assuming that there isn't anybody that's shut off right now, because that's not in, so,
Nobody.
okay. So if there was anybody, maybe she could add that. You know,
So they
that's the only-
still get one final
Sure.
opportunity. We create the door hangers, tag the doors, and they have, I think, 5 business days to make a payment. You know,
Gary, I have one question, maybe I misunderstood, but she sent out 70 delinquent letters from this past. That sounds very high. Is it, or is that like a normal amount? You may not know that, but that seems like a pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
it's normal. Yeah.
I think when I was compiling the water and sewer stuff, it was 64 delinquent accounts at that time. So it's roughly a 10% at any time.
So I guess we'll see a trend over time.
Yeah, I mean, she can address that probably better too, I mean, past history, but as this spreadsheet develops, we'll have more data building on that, but.
Thank you.
So when we go to the door hangers, usually Public Works hangs about 20 every time, whenever it gets to that point. So that number will come down. But historically, it's been around 20.
You said 5 days. Does that mean that like tomorrow you guys would hang the door hangers and then the 10th would be the shut off?
Yeah,
or-
so typically, based on however the billing system works, Kim would notify us, and then that process would start immediately.
That's a lot of work for
It is.
20. You're going to 20 houses to hang tags and then going back.
Bagging them,
Yeah.
door hangers.
And then you put the time that you hung the notice and the date, all that's handwritten, and then who hung it. So it's individually to each house. Yeah.
Are there people that are sort of repeat
Yeah.
problems?
Always.
Maybe there'd be some way to capture that data without obviously not saying who, which house it is, but.
Maybe like to go with that, maybe like past due two billing cycles.
Right.
4 by 8
How many
billings.
door hangers have been hung in the
Everything got
past?
an account number. We could just go with account numbers to track it.
I mean, obviously, we're just trying to get a
Too
sense.
much detail, but
We're just trying to get a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Wayne, the repeats in your experience, are they renters, are they landlords, or are they a mix of own and?
Typically not landlords, more or less a mix of renters and just habitual people. And I would say there's anywhere from 5 to 7 that we expect every time out of the 20.
So those folks are costing the town a lot of extra money through the use of resources that, month after month after month. We're quarter after quarter, we're spending resource time with the same people. They're the ones that we need to figure out a way to go after and get that taken care of. That's a lot of time.
On N, to do a water billing cycle from start to finish for Public Works to read, for Kim to read, to set it, it's about $16.50 in payroll.
1650.00.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's Public Works, Kim's time. I included postage. I didn't include paper. Yeah, but typically that's the general amount that it's spent to do quarterly reads.
And this would be one more question probably for Kim, is that, are these folks catching up 100%? Are we catching up enough to not turn the water off?
She generally talks to them and sets a payment plan up with them. I know in the past, and please don't quote me on it, because she is the best person to talk to about, she'll say, okay, well, if you pay me X amount by this day, you won't get caught off, but we need to set up the payment plan to finish you off so you're not more behind when the new quarter starts. So she does work with them like that. And again, she's very flexible, but she does need to see something come in.
Looking at the average amount due, they're not catching up fully.
That's what I figured.
It's a $595 average, and that's higher substantially than the overall average for a town resident.
Yeah, that's quite a bit higher.
So and then with the water shutoffs, when it gets to that point, the last cycle, we only shut off one house. When we shut off the house, the valve was so old that it broke, and then we had to dig up the road and then run a new service lateral and everything, and it was a $6,000 repair to collect a $1,000 water bill. So there's good and there's bad, and because of our aging infrastructure, and this is just because of the location and the age of the water main and the service lateral. This wouldn't happen in the newer subdivisions, including Atlee or Blue Ridge. It's pretty much a couple locations in Old Town. So it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, sometimes it creates a bigger problem.
Anybody's got a solution, bring it on. Anything, I know we've discussed this and it's pros and cons about billing monthly, but instead of giving people 3 months to get behind, they're gonna get behind a month and then.
So in order to do that, I've talked to Diversified. So you could spend $1,650 monthly in payroll to have them read it. Diversified.
What, the water meters?
Yeah,
No,
and to her, yeah. So if you wanted to do a quarterly read and then send a monthly bill out, it would cost programming to set up Diversified that way. And you're talking $200 plus an hour. And they don't know how long it would take to program that. Have a solution if you would like to hear it.
Go ahead.
What if we change the bill? So I don't have it on the drive.
Was that last month?
I think it might have been on the drive.
I
So
can move over.
I'm gonna be very frank, this is my water bill.
That's Tony Town.
This is Tiny Towns. It comes, I tear it off. No one can see how much I owe, and it's not a postcard. But I have these lovely perforated things that I can take off because they break it down by different things. What if we changed it where, here, I actually have a copy if you guys want to pass it. I made a copy for you guys. Pass it down.
Use a lot of water, Dana.
Pass it down.
Talking about Dana's utilities tonight a lot.
So yes, these numbers are mine. There's nobody in this town. So I don't hide anything. Mine was high because I had guests. So there's I paid it on time.
Whoa.
So, dude, that was
That's not bad.
it's not,
That's
so,
not bad.
but it was high for us.
Yeah.
So
I
instead
used
of
20,
breaking it
25,000 a
down, we
quarter.
have these perforated things, and it's broken down monthly, where it can be seen more. That, hey, you owe $71 a month. You tear this off, you can turn this in with it. We can even get a little fancy barcode, and then we get a barcoding system off of Amazon for Diversify, and it's just scanning it in there and going to the right account, because there has been some administrative, and I will own up to it, where I put the wrong number to the wrong account because of handwriting issues. But it makes it a little bit more clearer that, hey, if you pay, this is your monthly payment if you were to pay it by 3 months. This would Diversified ballparked at about a $300 change for programming it, if that. I know they have the paper because Town uses Diversified, so we would get the paper from there. But it would make it a little bit more clear, because I know just on the postcard, it's very small that, hey, $50 a month or 70, whatever it is. But that is one of my solutions that I could get for you guys, and then you could have important messages right there for snow emergencies, bulk trash, whatever we want to talk about.
Right, I think more than just even the monthly. I think the more important thing is the barcode there for you guys.
I'm not gonna. It's handwriting can be gibber or smeared. I've done it once or twice, and we fix it right away when the resident calls.
Well, I mean, just thinking you scan the thing and
Scan
it pops right up
to her
without having to type in account number and save 5 minutes.
Yeah. So it's something to think about and look into. Also, it would be more secure
Because it's closed.
because it's closed and,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
I like it.
I like this a lot. This is a great
This would be
idea.
my solution to
All right,
go around that problem.
So,
Need more information?
Yes, please do.
I got you.
thank you.
Dana, just to take a step back, you said that there would be a fee to program it to do monthly billing with Diversified?
To do this.
Well, prior to that, you mentioned doing the monthly billing and then having the setup, it would be about $200 an hour. Right, but is that that's a one-time fee, right?
It is a one-time fee.
Okay. And then, go ahead.
So, and when I was talking to them, and I apologize, it was a couple months ago about this bill, they said it could be about $250 to do it all, but as long as they have it already in their system, kind of something like this, it would be a lot quicker. And because I copied it from Tony Towns, pretty much, copy and paste, it's already there. I know it is.
So, what I meant was you said about $250 to do this.
Ballpark.
Okay,
yes.
and then
It
what
could
was
be
the-
very less.
What was the 200?
So it's $200 to $250 an hour to program, to set up the program where we would do a quarterly read, and then it would
Monthly bill.
Break it down and-
break it down. Thank you.
and then mail every
And
month,
then
too.
mail it every month, yeah.
Yeah.
You would still have us printing them out every month and mailing and payroll and stamps,
postage, though.
postage,
I think
yeah.
this is a good
I
option.
think we give this a try
Give
and
it a try.
see how it goes.
I'll contact Diversified and see if we can get this up, give me a little bit more information on it, and then
We could do some public awareness stuff about it
Public awareness.
before we,
Start July 1st.
yeah,
start
something like
first of
that.
the fiscal year. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, thanks.
Code Enforcement Officer, Joan.
You got it, she's got it.
Yeah.
Good evening. I had 0 complaints in the month of February. I am continuing with abandoned vehicles, untagged and operable vehicles. There's 2 letters in follow-up status pending investigation, 2 second notice letters going out, and 2 pending letters to be sent out in reference to inoperable untagged vehicles or excessive rubbish trash dump. Just an announcement to residents. If you have received a letter from me, it will be more beneficial to reach out to me that you've received it and discuss a way to amend the situation as opposed to ignoring the notice that goes out or not responding to me at all to where I have to send a second and third notice. I'm willing to work with residents, but the acknowledgement and receipt of my notices that go out would be greatly appreciated. That's all I have.
Before we move on, so Joan, thank you for this. I think, would it be possible for you, I'm trying to phrase this, I would like more information as a council member about the issues that you have here. So like if you were able to put this maybe in a spreadsheet of some kind, okay, that would
And I'll
show.
give you guys access to it. I'm trying to transfer all that stuff over to the server. We were having an issue with my laptop and the server. So
Okay.
I do have all that stuff that you guys will have access to. I just have to get it in the right place so you can see it.
That'd be great, thank you.
All right. Lehigh, all right. New business, adoption of ordinance 02-05-25.
Don't go away.
I hear a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to adopt ordinance 02-05-25.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance 02-05-25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Potomac Edison electric pole replacement, Wayne?
Yeah, so I just want to give everybody an update. I know Potomac Edison, we've kind of got some messages from them about power outages. So as part of the MD31 project and upgrading the infrastructure, the overhead infrastructure in town, Potomac Edison, in partnership with Comcast, they're replacing some poles, which is a good thing because a lot of the poles in town are deteriorated and leaning. And that was one of our concerns when we purchased the Christmas wreaths, is with the poles leaning, it makes them lower, and then trucks hit them and things like that. But anyway, we had encountered an issue. So the town's Christmas wreath circuit runs along the poles. And we weren't involved in the placement of the poles. I guess they're strategically placed. And there's some of the poles that are offset anywhere from a foot to 24 inches. So what that means for the town is our Christmas wreath circuit electrical wire is not long enough. So to keep the project moving along, I had to contact Rodkey Electric, and we had to remove part of our Christmas wreath circuit because we couldn't reattach to the new poles. So in turn, now the town is going to be faced with an unexpected expense of purchasing new wiring several hundred feet at several locations throughout town. So we don't know what the price is going to be yet. The power company and Comcast wasn't really in close communication with the town about how many poles were going to be replaced. I know they had done surveying last year. Folks may have seen them around town test pitting next to the poles and surveying the condition of the poles. But they are pretty aggressive in their pole replacement. And so now that's left us at kind of a disadvantage with the Christmas wreath circuit. So I instructed Rodkey just to pull things down for now at specific locations where the poles are already installed, and then we'll have to reassess things in about a month or two, and then get a price on replacing all of the wiring. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on that.
And those poles that are moved be in relation to what's proposed for the streetscape, correct?
Yes. And that I had found out through a gentleman from the state. Like I say, little to no contact with the town. We first kind of figured out what was going on when we were flooded with missed utilities, that they were going to dig to replace the poles. Now, Potomac Edison owns the poles. They have the right to replace them. We don't have an active easement on the Christmas wreath circuit. Comcast is the only ones with active easements and things like that. I think the public notification could have been a little bit better with the power outages and with the installation of the poles. Voiced my frustration with a power engineer that I know with Potomac Edison, and the communication got better. And then that's when we started updating residents on Facebook. And other than that, that was our line of communication. And then the occasional call, which came to Gary. And it was only a few days before they started the work. So we're going to try to work with them a little bit more to try to get communication a lot better than what it has been. We like to give people as much advance notice as possible. And specifically me, being the operator of the water system and the sewer system, we got to make sure the generators are fueled. And there's a lot of things that go into play in regards to keeping critical infrastructure, active. So I'll update you guys later on.
And that just brought up something, Gary or Wayne, has anybody called or can you call State Highway? I'm getting a lot of questions about the potholes out front here and down by Uncle Mattie's. See whether or not they can't address those. There's one really bad out here and down by Uncle Mattie's, I think. There might be some others, but I know people have been asking me about them.
So we can give a call about that. And then also the State Highway installed a new sign here at Spore Line. And when you pull out a Spore Line onto Main Street, there's a sight distance issue. You can't see anything this way. So I've got to call somebody about that sign and maybe have them put a smaller sign up or put it in another location.
Right.
If not, we're going to have an accident.
Thank you.
Problems out there.
Any other new business? Old business, memorandum of lease agreement to 11 High Street redevelopment. I did meet with I'm on the board of directors, so I brought it up to the meeting last Thursday night, and there really was only one thing that they wanted to address, but I highlighted some things, and it's not on the server, but I just, on page 1, paragraph 1, you need info on organizational authority, and that would be the president of the company.
I don't think that's the nature of my question, but I'll have to pull it out. Like you are a municipal corporation in the state of Maryland, not who's signing it, like,
Oh, you want like
how is it that they exist?
501c3 corporation?
That might do it.
Okay.
I might not need anything, I just,
Okay,
I'm marking it.
all right. It's a 501c3.
That would be helpful to have in there
Okay.
for no other reason.
All right. And on, let's see, page 2, I guess it is, under E, I think. Let me double check here.
Page back.
Right pages. Number 3E, they would just, just recommended that they put HVAC in there to cover both heating and air conditioning systems. Page 3, 4D, NWFD,
Missed that one.
and I think there's a couple of them. Let's see here. Number 6, termination, NWFD. And then also they would like to see it, and you had down there, may have to negotiate this, just a mutual agreement instead of one party, 90 days termination. It was really more of a concern than anything die hard, but what happens if a new mayor comes on board and new council members could they end it tomorrow, that sort of thing. So I think if it's just a mutual agreement on termination,
That boxes you in, sir.
well,
If it's gonna be your property, committing yourself to do this,
they just want a little more assurance,
that's not I'm not a policy guy, thank goodness.
and I can, look into other agreements and see whether or not.
It's entirely up to the floor, not me.
Would we want to simply add something to by unanimous decision or something to that effect. So as long as there's a single dissenting council member, then it doesn't happen. But
A major majority, that's what, four or maybe.
Yes, like a supermajority
Yeah.
of the council.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
All five, you know.
I don't know how that would play on their side, though.
if it
I
had to
don't
be,
know their structure. I mean, I know your structure.
Well, for it to be, to me, using common sense, if all five did, I don't think they would be anti-fire department. It would have to be something way up and above that the town needed that building. Right.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but if we're gonna write something in here that says 4/5 of the council
We have to
members
find out what their structure is.
are required to terminate or to participate in a termination discussion, somebody's gotta be able to say, the president, the board of directors, the supermajority of the board of directors, those kind of things, because this is it. Once you sign off on this, all these little picky things, somebody in 5 years is gonna say, I don't know who that woman was, but she did not cover all the bases. And I don't want that to happen. So that's why I do these things. But we can figure that out.
What's that?
We can figure that out.
Okay, all right. And then, I think the others are, number 7, NWFD again, Post Office Box 247. And then, under where signatures are New Windsor Fire and Hose Company number 1, not volunteer.
volunteer?
No. That's the legal name. And that was pretty much it, just that, the termination, they just wanted, it was a concern, it's not make or break or anything.
Well, if you could find out what the structure is, so she could put the language
It's a
in there.
501c3.
No, but I mean for the board vote thing on there.
You would need a
The
supermajority.
501c3 is their tax status, which is handy to know, especially if you're trying to raise funds and things, GoFundMe, I don't do any of that stuff.
Right.
But just like you have a municipal corporation organized under the laws of the state of Maryland, I don't know how they come to be organized. Or do they have charters? I just don't know, and I like to put those things in contracts because I think they're contractual.
Like incorporated in 1948.
I don't care that,
Okay.
I need more info from them.
All right. Send me an email what you need and
I'll try.
all right. So that was, they were real pleased with everything. I think it addressed everything. Thank Michelle for writing all that up and getting it started anyway. And then, depending on what everybody's thoughts are, I would recommend we invite the fire department to the work session to see whether or not there's any other discussions. So if anybody has any comments on anything.
So Gary had a lot of comments and, trying to do due diligence with Gary's comments. One that stands out to me is the fact that we did not get all the money to do the complete renovation as we kind of have it scoped out. And although I don't want that to be a killer to the project, I think we need to have something in line, whether it's a second grant application or whether it's something. What I don't want is the town to get stuck, and I think Gary alluded to it. The town, we put the 200,000 or whatever we got into a grant, and we start doing it, and then things fall apart. And now we have a building over there that we invested a couple $100,000 into, and maybe it wasn't what it's going to be, and so we wasted that money, and I don't want that to happen. Obviously things like, electric and the water and sewer stuff needs to happen. However, we may not be doing it in a way for the ultimate use of the building if we didn't get all the funds. So I don't know how we fit that into the agreement, but I think that's a valid concern that we somehow address.
I'm not sure if the funding really plays a big part in the agreement or not, but, and I don't know if I said this or not, but the fire department did receive $25,000 grant from the Callard Foundation. So, and I feel there's other money coming, how much, I can't say, but then the state has already told me to apply next year, and I really feel certain that they are not gonna let us hang, and it may have to be a two-phase. I talked to Mike Reynolds about putting it out to bid on how much money we have, what can a company do for that amount of money, but he said to do it as a whole project, and then whoever is a successful bidder, we sit down with them and say, this is how much we have, and what can you do with that amount of money?
So maybe a Michelle question then. Michelle, if we sign an agreement like this and say we are going to put together a building that will meet the needs of what we're discussing, and we don't have the funds to do it,
Candidly,
are we breaking a lease, or are we?
I don't know so much that you're breaking a lease, but there's plenty of pitfalls in that structure. I don't like the idea of putting it out for bid, this is the job, and then awarding that bid to somebody and then sitting down with that person and saying, well, we haven't got all that money yet. Because when you put the job out for bid, someone else may say, well, I could have done that part for less than I bid, but I bid the whole project, and now you are kind of unilaterally changing the project without giving anybody else an opportunity to bid on the amended project. Now, you can do a bid that's in phases. You know, this is phase one and phase two, but I'm concerned about the idea of a sort of a separate piece with the winning bidder on and I'm just picking this number because it's one I can do in my head. You got a $500,000 project, and you put it out there, and somebody bids $490 and somebody bids $510. So the $490 guy gets the bid. And then he comes in and then you say, well, what can you do for this part and this part and this part? Well, the other guy might have a legitimate difference of where his money or his bid would have gone. So you're kind of rebidding after you've issued. That makes me very uneasy. So it might be doable, but I would rather do it as putting the bid out in phases, because that is a perfectly legitimate thing to do. Concern there, of course, is always that phase two winds up being unfunded. But that you can put in your bid specs and everything else that phase one is funded and phase two is probably funded, or however we want to word that.
What if we put a bid to do the entire, and I don't know, I don't have the numbers, I can get the numbers, probably at least an estimate of the infrastructure for both floors.
And by that you mean the HVAC and the sewer and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But to finish out the first floor, which I think we probably would be able to do. So then we just do a second project or second phase to finish the second floor.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm saying, is you can do it in phases, and there's a phrase and I can't think of what it is. So you're gonna rough in all the infrastructure, and you're gonna complete the first floor, and then phase two, or maybe roughing in the infrastructure because you haven't got the prices yet, maybe phase one, and phase two might be finishing the first floor, and phase three might be finishing the second floor. When you have a clearer picture of that process, you certainly can put it out to bid like that.
All right, let me do some more homework on some estimates.
Yeah.
For the lease agreement, though, should there be like a contingency on funding? Or if we could say like this
I think
first
there's-
floor,
What
we
worries
can.
me is you're signing a lease agreement when you don't have enough money to finish the building.
Before the horse.
So, when we first were talking, it was very general. We're gonna have this building and we're gonna make it into residences. And that kind of thing an MOU works for. As I was drafting this and we were talking about it, there was a lot more lease-like detail So that's why I kind of shifted that a little bit. But then you get into, somebody asked about breaking a lease. Well, if you say, we're going to provide, with our building and our money, we're going to provide housing for 2 of your staffers, and we don't. And it's all well and good, Mr. Mayor. This is a wonderful town, and I love it, you know I do, and everybody gets along well. But one of the reasons that probably is true is because there aren't many lawyers here.
You want me to comment on that, or? Because I want to get out of here. That's another half hour.
I'm trying. This really is kind of complex, especially when somebody's on their way to go to another meeting. There's a lot of loose ends in this, and frankly, I didn't even think about some of them until I read Gary's thing. Little things that you don't think about, like parking.
Well, there'll be
those.
some probably brighter people than I am down at Annapolis that maybe have gone through this and see what they can come up with. So I'll ask the other mayors.
I'm a believer in not remaking the wheel, if you can help it.
You know, out of 50, 75 mayors, there'll be somebody that can.
Somebody who knows something down there.
A little more guidance for me.
And that gives everybody else time to also think of what other pitfalls they could think. Pitfalls are not insurmountable, you just gotta know where they are and deal with them.
All right.
That's true.
Everybody all right with me doing more homework?
Yes, please.
All right. Vehicles parked on snow emergency routes. I know I approached Kevin, and Kevin, I don't know if you want to, how many did we have last time? It wasn't as many as the first snow, right?
I think it is.
We don't need the police.
No, we gotta get the damn building.
It seems like it was like,
I was looking for memory. First
first time was 50 and then it was like 38 or something like that.
Still a lot.
So I know I handed out, I think it was 60 notices. I don't know if you guys saw on the New Windsor residence page, somebody had posted a picture of the notices that I made. So I just made the notices as a reminder. I know people were kind of panicking, is this a citation, are they gonna start citing us? It was just a friendly reminder to begin with, but there is a state code where if you're parked on a snow emergency route, the vehicle will be fined $70 now. I've had some discussions with the town about this, and we're just trying to get everything in the right works to enforce this. So we got a firm leg to stand on, without saying too much, you know, just in the future. So it would be nice to clean some things up, to just make it a little easier for me, and easier for her and anybody else involved in this matter with citing the vehicles. Of course, I have the county codes, the state codes that I can enforce, and I'm just trying to clarify some stuff with the town on that. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we got with it. But I think, Wayne, you said for the most part, things were cleaned up except for Church Street. And
Yeah, Church Street was the worst.
that seems to be the common issue, is Church Street.
And Lower Main.
I actually have put notices on the vehicles several different times that day. The vehicles changed. It was like, you have a set of vehicles on Church Street, and then when you would put notices on the vehicles, those vehicles would move, and then new vehicles would come in, and you'd have to put notices out on them. So I don't know if it's just a parking situation at those different, apartments, and it's like, oh, we don't have space out back, so we're gonna park on the main street. That could be the issue, but,
It's closer to their front door
that as well.
than
Well,
75 feet.
I also think too, I mean, they've went, let's say 5-10 years doing this every snow route and never ever anything happened. So now that the letters went out, I think that gives, people, oh, there is a code, there is something that you need to do.
Right, yeah.
What I don't know, and you might, it's easy to find out, I think, is how does a road get designated as a snow emergency route in such a fashion that you, without Joan, who isn't here, can enforce that? I don't know if you can name every single road in your town a snow emergency route,
Well,
or not. I just don't know.
they're all
It should be findable.
31 coming into town has a different sign than the town has for no parking during snow emergency. It says snow emergency route, so it's clearly specified, this is a snow emergency route. I think that would have to, be cleaned up and well marked.
Yeah.
In order for that to be, a firm leg to stand on, per se. But yes, the clear markings on the signs where, do not park during a snow emergency, that could be interpreted as a snow emergency route, or,
I think so, but
you
the
know.
guy who's gonna challenge you is gonna say, well, that one is express.
Or the lawyer that's
Or,
challenging.
there you go. That one is express, and since this one doesn't express it, then this one inferentially is not the same as that one. This is why people don't like lawyers.
So
What is the violation? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Not the number.
For the town.
The code.
Because what if we develop, like, what if next snow emergency, we develop a citation and I literally drive through and cite every car on the snow route? Then eventually go get the picture.
An actual citation,
Correct.
not just what you do.
Correct, a town citation. Here, you're being fined this
Yeah.
amount per the town.
Well, that would probably do
I
it.
issue it, it's one we develop,
Yeah.
they come and pay it, and you learn your lesson, or you get another one next time.
The issue is, in part, and we all know this, who has the authority to issue? And I know you do,
Well, yeah,
but you're not
town
physically
code,
here.
Right, and the problem is, he would coincide with county,
Mhm.
yeah.
So the town has municipal infractions for, snow removal off of sidewalks after 24 hours of a snowfall. So I would recommend a municipal infraction of some sort. We did it in the past. The signs have been up since 2016 in most locations. The newest locations is Snyder Summit. They're the newest signs. They were installed by the developer in 2023. However, this is the biggest issue that we've had has actually been on Church Street because of tenant turnover. That's something that we can't affect, but maybe we can notify the property owners to let their tenants know, or provide a welcome packet for the tenants when there's, we try to do like the landlord policy, where the landlords provide us with contacts and things like that. Maybe it's a public outreach effort to notify these folks, some of which are new and don't understand the rules. However, the signs are still there. And I think 90% of the town residents follow the rules, and they're appreciative of what we do. They're appreciative of how clean the roads are when they move, and they know that it makes a difference. I think some of these folks, specifically on Church Street, not calling anybody out, they don't care. We posted their vehicles and they sat there, and you know that. And then it's like musical vehicles. I mean, some of the vehicles, like Kevin said, they'll exchange and then there'll be newer vehicles, but some of them just ring around the rosy and then park back again. So if they don't have respect for us and the job that we're trying to do, and we're trying to benefit everybody in the community, and they're acting selfishly, maybe we do need to have a policy on the books and tow and fine.
Well, if you think it's feasible for you,
I
or
mean,
whoever the code enforcement
The only
officer
dilemma
is.
I can foresee is I don't have the means to run the tags, so I'm gonna cite who? I don't have the means to get the registered owner's information to write a citation, which is where the complication comes in.
Yeah, let's,
Which is why I have to use him, a couple
To
days
get
when
that.
he comes back on shift.
Well,
So
also, if it's a foot of snow, we're not gonna want you to come
That's
in.
what I'm
that's the point,
Yeah.
I didn't even
Whereas-
think you
So
was an officer.
I could easily come through and cite them. It's like, how am I gonna get their information to do that? How are we gonna track them to be sure they're paying the $50 fine or the $150 fine?
And you could cite them while you're warning them, but then there's other issues with you as acting as a code enforcement officer, which
Does it go to
you're
traffic
not.
violation or a
Yeah,
parking
it's,
violation, a town violation, a county violation? Like,
And that was the issue I ran into was in a our e-tips program, which I can enforce these with the program I use, the state program that I use to enforce traffic laws. So there's codes under that I can enforce without actually having to handwrite a citation. However, in that, you would then put driver of the vehicle, and I guess you could have checked boxes unknown, but then you have to put the owner of the vehicle. So I would have to make identification. I would have to knock on their door wherever if their tags are up to date, and if they come back to a certain address, and say, hey, can you please move your vehicle? And then at that point in time, if they don't, then I would cite them, of course. But that's just very.
That almost defeats the purpose of getting the darn car off the road so they can
Because
plow.
most people are gonna comply.
Yeah.
So the state and other municipalities, if you have a sign and it says no parking, a meter maid can come out if you don't pay the meter and she can have your vehicle towed, him or her can have your vehicle towed, just like if there's a no parking zone, the vehicle can be towed. So doesn't the town really have the authority to do that anyway? If there's a sign that says no parking during a snow emergency and somebody's parking there, that's then illegally parked. And then the authority would be, even maybe me as director or something like that, if we had a policy that after several notification attempts, if they don't move it, even if we knock on the door, have it towed.
So, well, that's another thing, like, do we have a tow company? Do we have some kind of
Well, that's what we'd have to.
MOU? Where are these cars going? Is
Yeah.
there an impound lot? Do we have some kind of agreement somewhere? Are we gonna tow it ourselves? Are we gonna make our own impound lot? You know, like,
No, we are not gonna make our own impound.
but that's what I'm saying, like, we could easily do that, but where is it going?
Yeah.
In
We're
all
all-
aspects, this is why most
It's a big lot down in Baltimore
municipalities
they all
have their
go
own
to.
police agencies.
Yeah, 'cause
they
we don't.
act on their own.
Well, we should at least have, if we do go the towing route, the first thing we should do is we should have signs that say
They have-
enforceable by
when,
tow.
when I used to tow, for New Windsor Automotive, they had, a fenced-in lot down there and they could tow and stuff like that. City of Westminster, they have different tow companies, Lecrons and different folks that they'll come and tow it and they'll deal with the resident. And, you know, there's the town side of it. You owe us this much money. And then there's the towing company side. You owe us for storage, you owe us for towing, and things like that. You hate to get to that point. We've never towed. As long as I've worked here, we've never towed. But something's gotta give. We've gotta clean this mess up somehow.
If I could just add the law enforcement perspective. So we have obviously an extra lot on this, so I've had abandoned vehicles I've had to tow. We'll do like a quick report, incident report for it. And, of course, we contact extra lot, which, they go down the list and they just send out the tow company, that they pick. And then, I don't know how it will work with the town, obviously I don't know if that would be an MO between us and you guys. If we would get to that point where we had to tow vehicles, but I think we're stepping way ahead.
Yeah, let's not borrow that kind of trouble.
Let's try some other things besides towing. I mean, if we can do a citation,
My guess is a couple of $75 citations would get a lot of cars moved pretty quick.
Is there a,
Logistics of that, are we calling you?
We have to be together.
Are you gonna like?
Yeah, we gotta figure
plan
that
to
out
be
though,
here
because
every
you're not
time
gonna
it
be here.
snows? I mean, that's logistics kind of a
No,
thing.
that's.
I mean, I could definitely come through during the mid-snow when they'd be plowing, like, we could communicate and I could be here. I mean, I only live up the street.
See, this requires a trio, because you gotta have a member of Public
And I
Works,
would need him
you
to
gotta
run
have
the
Joan,
tags.
and then you've gotta have
Gotta be an
Kevin.
easier way. We
In a
gotta figure
perfect
something else
world,
out.
Right.
we're not gonna align like that.
Well, that's what I'm worried
I
about.
was gonna say, let me check
we
with.
can, like, make a note of a license plate,
Their own
take a
police
picture
except
of
us.
it on the snow route, and then send all that information after the event to you to get ownership, and then send notices after, because it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate because
With
I
a
run
photograph.
tags in town that don't come back to the cars that they're on, and then you're down dealing with the VIN number to find out who the registered owner is. So that creates more complication just based off a tag number that may not actually be on that car.
But if the tag doesn't match the vehicle
That's a different set of problems.
that he's looking at, that's its own thing. We're not getting these cars out of the road the minute that Wayne drives by in the plow truck. But if there's a list that gets made with photo evidence and gets sent off, we can send fines or whatever.
Like the speed
after-
cameras.
Right.
Here's
after
a
a
picture of your drivers, of your.
we don't need to know who owns the vehicle. It's just here, and then by the tag we find the owner, and if there's a dispute, we have the photos
Put them up
in
there.
a shared location or whatever, that we can go back and say, well, is this not your silver sedan, blah, blah, blah.
Correct, and if you have the location and everything, say the tag doesn't match up.
No, I was
you know,
pissed.
That's on a purple Honda, it's on, you know, the tag's displayed on silver Acura. You know,
Can you do like a collage of photos?
I gotta do one by one here. That's
It's
easy.
a real beauty there.
But that would at least eliminate some urgency to just make a spreadsheet and,
It may not help, it wouldn't help immediately, but my guess is the second snowstorm it would help.
right.
Well, that's the point.
You could blow
There's
it up
ones
too.
you're not getting this car out of the way anyway at that moment. Because we're not gonna be knocking on doors trying to get people at 2 AM to come move their car. So you make a list, you send stuff later, and then hopefully the second one, yeah.
I also think it's because we haven't had a snow
In a few
in
years.
how, 5 years?
Yeah, a serious
And
one.
I think
yeah.
everybody got a little lax, a
Yeah,
little forgetful, whatever,
And we have-
because we went from 50 down to 30, and I think that was just because we had more than one snow. So I think word will get out, and
Word got out with the notices that there were a good number of people that were commenting on that site that said, hey, what's going on, you know, so I know I have a couple neighbors that are new that we haven't had, that since we haven't had a snow, they didn't know, and I said, hey, you might want to move that, and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know, you know, so I don't know.
So I know I've spent this past storm 2 hours. 2 hours dealing with this. Kevin, I know when I talked to you, you spent significantly more time just going around town, and that seemed to help. And the second storm, it was more or less Church Street. But it's time consuming, and time is money. And I'd rather be in a plow truck clearing the roads, doing my job, than going door to door, knocking on people's doors, asking them to move their vehicles. And not to mention, when you're plowing and you're going curb to curb, the people that are disadvantaged the most are the ones that moved. Because then you're shoving the snow and dividing it and closing in driveways where people move their vehicles. And it's just not fair.
I think 2 or 3 storms of enforcing something where there's an actual punishment for sitting, no matter the numbers on the street, I think that's gonna get the message across. And
Well, the pictures you had of those cars right there, I think that's a good idea. That gives him the ability to run the tag, give me the information, then I can send a citation and that picture of their car on the snow route to them a day or so later. Hey, you violated this. Like, it may not get instant removal right then and there, but
Well,
it'll
it'll,
help the next time.
it'll
Yeah,
also help get the
maybe
word
it'll-
out.
Yes.
You know, I think we're hopefully done with snow for this season, but we need to start getting, when fall comes around, fall newsletter goes out, start putting something in there saying, we will be issuing citations first, followed by towing.
Yeah.
And we're taking pictures of cars with tags and notifying.
And
That
if we
way,
have any sort of spreadsheet documenting it, if it comes up a second time, maybe it's not a fine, it's just, oh, I saw this car last time, we call XYZ towing and move it out.
I think the fine the first time will.
I think that'll
agree.
solve most of
I
the
I
agree.
think that's gonna wait, especially when more than one person get it. I think it'll
what
wait.
happens if they don't pay the fine?
Well, then you're back to the same conversation that we have.
Is there a way, is there a way to tie it in with vehicle registration?
I don't know.
There's not?
I kind of doubt it, but I don't
You'd have to
know.
get a flagging system with Maryland Motor Vehicle.
30 days lapse, they're suspended. So
If we send it to him to send out like tickets after the snow event, that could be tied to
Could you
their
do that though?
registration.
Then we're back to whether
Can
he
you
can do
do
that.
I don't-
Put on the state road.
Could you
Just
on
even
the
send
state
an
road.
after the fact citation?
yeah, I can change the
Oh,
date
really?
on the citation.
Wow.
Like, under the e-pace program.
I just figured you had to be there.
So like if it snows Saturday and we get you a list Sunday and then you send citations out Monday for the event that happened on Saturday based on pictures and location.
But that's something you have to observe as a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, it
You
has
have
to be
to
an
observe
affidavit
it
on
by
that.
law. It can't be third party.
And then to go back, you know, I per se
Can't issue
enforce
it.
town code right now.
Yeah.
So I can enforce state and county, but I can't.
So you could do a couple of roads, but not all the roads.
Yes.
So going back to
Including
that,
Church.
So what's the
you
whole
guys are looking into whether or not there's anything that the deputy could do?
Well, that's what we've been talking about. Right now, I don't think there's anything really that the deputy can do to enforce town code.
Unless I take you around, and we could do that, but.
We'll hire you as a part-time public works employee to plow snow.
No
So-
full office holding.
If you're not working, you will be working for us, and then
You're thinking too much. Just put a drone up.
Huh?
Put a plow
inside of the
You guys
Forward.
should just get your own police department and then
Oh.
that's
No, I like a bullhorn myself. A really loud bullhorn. You sit out in front of the house and say, "Move your car now," and it's to get louder and louder and louder.
Let's see how things go and see whether or not we can't maybe come up with a citation,
Like Noriega, what did they play?
take an employee around or something, you know, I don't know, but work on something. And now I remember, this is going back 2009 or 11, there was a big snow and it was predicted. Now I know sometimes predictions don't hold up, but this was a big snow and we sent a letter out to every resident and I think we had 0 cars. But I forget what year that was.
Was 10.
But that,
We get a big one. We've had, this is the most we've had in a while, but we haven't had that foot and a half,
this
2
was,
foot
you know,
snow.
this was like a 12-inch more, I can't remember, and we decided like 2 days ahead of time to send a letter out to every resident, and there was 0 cars. I can't remember what year it was,
It
but
was 10.
that's one option, that's,
2010, we had like 3 major snowstorms.
yeah.
Big.
Yeah, big ones.
I remember that.
And then that letter probably takes care of you at least for a year, maybe even more. But anyway, so, all right.
Rather do some citations and not have that year again.
Fiscal year 26 budget, general discussion, direction.
Okay. Should be able to get through this pretty quickly. My spreadsheet.
No yellow lines, no red lines, anything?
Just a couple, no yellows. It's complete. It is 99% complete, because it's not complete until it's adopted, but, so I'm just gonna start up. I can run through this hopefully in 5 minutes. If I can get to the top of the spreadsheet. So under general fund, revenues, taxes, we did, on the income tax, we increased that number. From the last meeting, we used the FY '24 actuals and added 3%. As you can see, the previous year's actuals have been consistently higher than budgeted. So we just took the previous year's actual and added 3%. So that number is now at 345,000. The real property, there was, last meeting, there were questions on the numbers we used from the state compared to the FY '24 actuals, which we looked at more closer. The 23 and the 24 actuals were incorrect and have been corrected. So now you can see that they're more in line. And it was a good point, Mayor, that they, looking at the actuals, they appeared to be way low and it wasn't going to go down. But those were wrong. So we're going to stick with the state number of the 598,000 from the state. The count
Increase from,
it's it's up it's 8,000 from last year. The county town program and county road grant, I had that estimated last time, and I since then did receive the numbers from Carroll County on February 20th. I wasn't far off. It came in at the 87,750, which was 750 lower than I previously estimated. So that's the actual number from the county. And so that completes the revenues on general fund. And you see there that the total revenues are $1,328,300, which is $176,490 higher than fiscal year 25. Main part of that was the increase in that income tax number. On the expenditures, under municipal building, the office equipment service agreements, I mentioned this last time. We need to replace the NVR recorder, which is basically the server that records all the cameras. The price from Spikers on November 14th of 24 is 18,375, which is 11,000 higher than their price from February of the same year. So we got a quote, a price from Maryland IT. I put a placeholder in there for now at 27.5. We're going to look at those, but the numbers that came in from Maryland IT, I'm sorry, thank you, Dana. Info Pathways, sorry, are much better, and we can actually, their numbers, we can actually replace the NVR and get all new cameras for $1,300 less than the price of the NVR from Spikers. So we're going to look at that a little closer, check with them, verify some numbers and things like that. So right now, I think we have a hold number in there that's pretty close, probably a little high, if anything. So I just put that number in there at 27.5. Capital building projects line, that increased 53,500 from last meeting. We added 2 more projects, and now that includes 4 projects total. Public Works, capital vehicles equipment did not change from the last meeting. We held that at 60,000, and then to be completed, it will be the capital reserve transfer we do to balance everything, and expenditures are far exceeding the revenues with only very minor adjustments at this time. Then under parks, we put in the capital park project line item at 59,000. That includes 4 projects, and so that brings to come down to the bottom there for the general fund. So our expenditures are $1,557,940, which exceeds the revenue number of $1,328,300 by $229,640. This will change if any other changes are made. The total capital projects in all the general fund are $417,500. I know I'm probably going to get this question, so I'll beat somebody to it. I'll put together a list of all those projects for you, Dave.
Thank you.
That's all there. So I have that all that information, and I started actually putting it together late today, and I can get that together, and I'll just email it to everyone. That'll be a list for I got the totals and included in those numbers. Wayne and I spent a lot of time going through the projects and putting them in the specific years. So any questions on general fund? Move on. No? So on the enterprise side, revenues total $1,349,350. That hasn't changed since the last meeting. And then on the expenditures for water, we made a change to the water quality program. We reduced that 25,000 to 75,000. And just a reminder, that includes lead line service and main line replacements as required by the lead and copper rule. Then under capital projects for water, that we feel we completed this since last time. There's 220,000 in there, which includes 6 projects on the water side, and then the capital reserve transfer to balance that section there. And then same thing with sewer. The capital projects for sewer is 150,000. That's for sewer lining. Next phase of sewer lining, and then the capital reserve transfer to balance things there. So under enterprise, the expenditures of $1,922,213 exceed your revenues of $1,349,350 by $572,860. This will not change again unless there are other changes made to any of the categories above. And then the total capital projects for enterprise are $370,000. Again, I'll get the list and breakdown of all those specific projects by category and a little bit of description and the amounts, so you can make sense of those. Any questions on any of that? So it's
Very good.
it's done.
Guys.
For now, barring any other changes. So that's all I
Are
got.
we introducing it?
I have the schedule somewhere.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
April 7th.
You got the schedule
regular
there?
schedule.
Thank you.
I have the timeline right here.
Yeah, so we got the March council, and then I think we introduce April, and then put our hearing in the paper, and then we adopt on the May
Have a
7th.
hearing and adoption on the
May
meeting.
May council is scheduled for adoption.
I do have one little question. So this just occurred to me last week. And Mayor reminded me of one thing, but we talked about maybe doing some small project to make the town a little bit more attractive because of the Vietnam War Memorial Project coming. Would that be just in something that's already here, or
What are you talking about?
something like some planters with flower? I'm not talking about like a huge, Dana and I had looked at costs for that.
Under parks
That's what I was wondering. It just occurred to me.
town activities,
Okay.
we usually don't hit that line pretty hard.
Yeah, and we've got what now? I just,
Got money in there, but
so you've got 12.
We reduce it from this year, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where are you talking about putting them?
Under park, she's talking
No, I
about
mean,
town.
where physically?
I think that would have to be determined, but I'm thinking maybe a few on some of the poles. It really gonna depend on how much they cost. We looked at some of those baskets that go on poles and they were really expensive. So probably something different. I would need to do some research, but I wanted to know if there was any wiggle room before I do that.
We got town activities
Yeah,
of 15,000, and we only didn't use half of that. I don't
Right.
think we have anything else coming up.
and that looks like it's the same.
Not right now, not this fiscal year,
Right.
so if it could be
Well,
in this fiscal year, that would be better.
It would be better if it was in this year.
the memorial will be in fiscal year 26,
Yeah.
right? October, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be better to spend the money this year.
If
It's coming up.
I'll make a suggestion. This is the first I'm hearing about the planners, but I would suggest I'm trying to find this project. I mean, what was the memorial pavers?
That was,
It's under parks, right? Yeah.
equipment and,
No, wait, that's under general fund
this
parks.
is under parks, but it
Yeah.
was,
So we have, one of the projects we have in for fiscal year is in the Memorial Park here, where the cannons have been removed, the pea gravel area. We're looking at putting in pavers there. So we plan to get prices for that so that we can get that done beginning of the fiscal year ahead of the war memorial. And I would say if we're gonna buy some planters and stuff, I think we would maybe focus our concentration with the new pavers, and if we get the cannons back in place and the planters there. I mean, it's a war memorial park. Just
Okay.
a suggestion. So
But we still have 8,000 in this year's budget.
that would be like, yeah, for the planters and stuff, sure, you could get those now, or any town.
I'll reach an updated number, Ken,
Yeah,
tomorrow, and
yeah.
email it to you, because I
Yeah.
really
We
didn't
can
have
do that, and then you and I can talk about that. Okay, thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you,
Nathan,
everybody.
Wayne, and everybody else.
Great job.
Everybody put a lot of time into it.
Indeed, it's a lot of work.
Tax rate discussion, next steps.
Well, we just looked at the proposed budget for next year, and we see shortfalls for both general and enterprise. This is on the agenda for tonight for questions regarding the tax proposal that I brought up a couple meetings ago. Questions for our town attorney, everyone's favorite, regarding next steps and what we would need to do to adopt a rate change if it is voted on. And just that sort of process, and then what council members' thoughts are on it. And decide if we want to move forward or not.
Does this budget require a tax increase?
We're in the negative.
Yeah, I mean, what has,
So how urgent is the question is
well,
part
yeah,
of the
I
question.
mean, we talked about this a
Yeah, I
little
know.
bit when you first started approaching this. In the past budgets, I've already changed the terminology. The last three lines that were put in to balance the budget were,
Transfers.
no, they were basically the differences between expenditures, revenues and expenditures. And in previous years, without putting all these capital projects in as specific line items, our revenues exceeded our expenditures. Well, now it's flipped. So they now will be put in as transfers to balance the budget. They will be negative numbers to balance. Now, we only will transfer them from the funds as we do those capital projects in both general fund and enterprise fund.
But your budget balance is the way you have it. Gotta have a balanced budget.
Well, it will balance once we put those transfer
Okay.
numbers in. But does that drive a tax rate is your question?
Is your question.
Boy, that was your question.
Yes.
What do you mean by transfer numbers? I'm not.
Well, previously like I said, we had I hate to use the word
So
extra.
extras went into like a savings account for the town,
A surplus.
a surplus.
Surplus, right.
So that surplus, we have it
good.
in an account, we also, in a mutual fund, we have it in investments, we have it in a variety of things. Now, you don't have a surplus according to the
You have a
budget that you have
deficit.
right now, you have
Because
a
of the,
debt.
because of the capital budget projects.
So now you're taking from your surplus to balance your budget. So you're taking from your savings to cover
Right, on the
projects.
general fund and enterprise fund.
On both
Enterprise
ends.
fund is, water and sewer, obviously.
Make sure I'm clear. So if these capital projects were not included,
I'm not
No.
gonna ask that.
no such transfers would be required.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I
Probably
understand.
not, but until I see the numbers in front of my face, I can't say for
Right,
sure.
but just conceptually.
Conceptually,
The reason that that those numbers flipped was because of the inclusion of the capital projects. So if the capital projects are unincluded, theoretically at least, the numbers should flip back.
And the reserve was kind of, in theory, your capital project reserve.
Right.
In the-
Bottom line is, we gotta do these projects.
Yeah.
I mean, we were wanting to do these projects in previous years, but now we've put those line items and those specific projects in the budget so that we can track and account
Get
for
it done.
planned projects in each fiscal year.
In the past, we would vote, well, not me because I wasn't around, but the council would vote as, hey, this needs to be done. Can we take the money from here to do this project? Where now it's planned without that need. And the plan,
Process, but now it's all planned and included in the budget, which creates a deficit between revenues and expenditures.
So in the event that these projects get done, the funds in the surplus will be tapped to do that, which means there won't be a surplus going forward, which is why you're asking, do we
Less-
need to
less of a
have
surplus,
an
yes.
increase in revenue so as to
Continue.
having a surplus?
to,
I'm slow, I gotta
Well,
walk
no,
through these
it's been a
things.
long day. I mean,
What's the total in the
So
surplus?
you have a variety of accounts, you have investments. The general surplus is $613,482.49. You technically have two in enterprise. The capital there would be $869,556.75. We have a developer fee fund that
Quick it can go.
when Snyder's was built, we got this, we would just transfer it. And that's at $2,795,040.16.
You said 2 mil?
2.8.
For enterprise.
For enterprise.
No, because the general
for
here,
general, it's 600 and some.
600,000, and we're looking at,
Now
where's
again, you
the,
have other funds tied up in investments, which if you want my treasurer report, I like to invest because you want a little bit more than what you have in savings. So I want something else. So treasurer would not touch those investments unless we absolutely have to. Those are the emergencies, the ones that are coming up to be renewed on the 16th and the 15th. One is general and one is enterprise.
They had to
Again,
abort the other
I
day.
would still recommend
They didn't launch.
reinvesting that as long as rates are good. Those are absolute emergencies. Let's pull it from there. You do have a little money to pay for that.
Thanks, Jim.
But again,
So,
it may run out.
well,
I
for
can't
the
guarantee it.
tax rate specifically, it would only be general fund, and we're looking at a deficit of 229. And you said there was 600,000, but how much is allocated for like investment?
So right now, none.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that would bring it down to
Yeah,
400.
I have not included any investment money in that.
Okay,
That.
The bottom line is, at current figures, we have to tap into our reserves to keep the town progressing and to fix infrastructure on the town.
Which is not unusual.
But we had plans to do that, pretty much.
Yeah, but
I mean,
how
that's
long
not
can you
like-
sustain it?
Exactly.
I
Last
understand
year,
that.
we had a surplus of what, 200,000?
Past 2 years, we've had 3 and 200. I don't know
Yeah.
the numbers off the top of my head. So you've had money, yeah.
It's basically self-sustaining
At this month.
as our tax rate now.
This rate will be fine.
Yeah.
It's probably 2 years in the future though.
Okay, so here's,
What?
I'll throw this into the mix. We have a 6-year capital project list, spreadsheet. I can share it with you, I can show it, because we spent a lot of time with this. So we're obviously focused on fiscal year 26 to get these targeted projects into the budget and accounted for. So looking at 27 in general fund, you're looking at 468,000. In enterprise, 27, you're looking at 603,000. Going out to 28, staying in enterprise, 375,550. And general fund, 28.
Because they're in a 6-year plan doesn't mean that everything has to be done.
Oh, no, but things got to get done. You have to plan for
They're
them to
there
be
for a
done.
reason.
I mean, you can keep kicking the can down the
Raise
road.
taxes 20 cents to offset everything either.
Huh?
You can't raise taxes 10 cents, 20 cents to,
I didn't say raise any amount, but we haven't raised taxes in 9 years.
well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing, but it's not sustainable in a long-term budget if you're planning for capital projects.
I would like to ask Wayne what's been sacrificed over the past 3 years, things that need to get done but are getting Band-Aid fixed.
Is that a loaded question?
So,
Short and succinct.
Okay, well, we rely on grants to fix up parks.
Is yours like that?
We don't, like, for instance, Lions Club Park is in need of a roof, a pavilion. It's in need of gutters. You know, we would apply for a grant to get those repairs done in many
All the way over
cases.
see if I can.
So we wouldn't really have the money. Well, we budgeted for it, I think, in what, 27?
For what?
So I think it would be helpful for everybody to see the capital project spreadsheet. Because I don't want to misstate anything, but roads, we got highway user revenue. Public sidewalks, we have public sidewalks that are in need of repair. They've been in need of repair. No money to repair them. That's one thing. Connectivity from park to park. Other improvements, like if we wanted to put sidewalks at Hillside or Lampert, we would rely on a grant. Curb and gutter repairs, all kinds of things. So there's all kinds of general funded projects that are unfunded because there's not money there to do it. And I think looking at the capital project sheet would be really helpful in making a good decision on this.
So I put my proposal spreadsheet in the meeting folder. It is not as neat and tidy as the one that you've put together for your capital expenditures, but it does have all of the items that are in your spreadsheet just as a general column with pricing on it. They are in varying degrees of need for repair. But I know that a lot of Old Town Road and sidewalks are at the point where they need to be done. And it doesn't look like in out years that the funding is there to keep the ball moving forward to get those done.
So we have the projects for this year at least. What would the implications be of changing the tax rate next year versus this year?
So this year is simply cleaner because it's the assessment year.
Correct.
That's
I didn't
That's
know
the-
if, like, maybe that would go into effect the 3 years after, or
So-
if you could do it mid-year.
the current proposal is one for this year to go in effect with the assessment increase, and then one in 3 years at the next assessment increase. So we're following the state schedule for tax adjustments. We can do it whenever,
Yeah.
but it's not going to blend in with an already increased assessment value for tax bills.
All right, well, I'm sorry, Wayne, let me, so first of all, I wanted to tell you that I appreciate all the hard work you put into all this, because I had a chance to study the spreadsheets that you gave us. So I know there was a lot of good hard work that we put in there. And although I am not opposed to tax increases at some point, I'm not opposed to tax increases. I know they have to happen. Looking at this, what you provided, and thinking about everything that's going on with the economy right now, I am more in line with, such as Councilman Will said, about revisiting it next year based upon the fact that the residents will have to already deal this year with the new assessment, a high cost of living that we're all complaining about, and the uncertain economy with politically everything that's going on right now. Now, mitigate, I'm not trying to hold up projects, but looking at the spreadsheet as an example that you gave us with all the road paving and how you had it all laid out, failed to include the highway user fee revenue. And as an example, if we get, using the figures that you gave, if we get the increase from the new assessments and we add in the user assessment fee that we're scheduled to get for 26, instead of the $143,000 that you show that we would have with the tax increase, we're going to end up this year, we would end up with $199,000, so about $56,000 more this coming year. So I think we could continue on the path of doing paving and things like that, because we would actually have that money this year and then revisit the tax increase next year after our residents had a chance to digest their new assessment. And I realize it's getting it's off, but they would have chance to digest that new assessment. We would be a year into a new presidency, the cost of living, all those things. We would have a year under our belt to have already dealt with it. Could it be worse? Could be, but nonetheless, we all have to deal with that, and we could reassess next year. Kind of my opinion on that.
So I didn't include the highway user revenue simply because we've been getting it and the projects are still stacking up. I know it's increased, and that is obviously a benefit. But in discussions that I've had with Director Myers and Town Manager Dye, it isn't sufficient to get the ball rolling. And I understand the big hit that residents are going to get with the assessment increase. But I do want to remind everyone that with this increase, the average house assessment value for the town is $379,000, and that tax bill would go up roughly $11 a month. So it's $130 extra a year. We're not talking a massive amount, average household to get a more established and more quality public infrastructure set up. I'm not opposed to revisiting it next year, but the goal was to blend it in with the assessment schedule. And obviously, if that's not agreed to, then it's not agreed to.
I think it also gives you a year to see how much additional revenue comes in from the new assessments. Actuals, and I know the constant yield rate and all that, but that's 100%, so.
Well, don't we know what next year's tax is gonna be? Didn't we get that figure? So we know what it's gonna be.
Their numbers are always less than what our actuals are. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Under-promise and over-deliver.
try to explain that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it's better to over-promise and, under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah.
Connor, Councilman Frock, I agree with Dave. I think that this is, so as not a numbers person, I'm so impressed when anybody does with Gary and Dana and everybody. But I'm just it's for me because of my background in communications and optics. I just feel like the timing is just not good for this. I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty with the state economy, with the national economy, and I would really like to look at this again next year. That's just kind of how I feel about it right now. I think if things were different, I'd be like, oh, I like how you moved some things and did them in ways we never would have thought of that before. But it's more about saying to people who are worried about their paycheck, well, by the way,
I get it.
here's a tax increase.
I get it.
You
You bring up the state economy, though.
I know.
We can't rely on grants.
I know.
And as Director Myers said, that's what we do for the stuff that needs to get done.
I don't agree that if things stay steady or improve, it's not a bad idea to rethink how we're doing things.
We rethought things when Frank came on board.
Yes, we did.
And we took a hit with our popularity, but we're in a lot better shape than what we were. So, it's not anything unusual to rethink. So I appreciate all your hard work, but it sounds like maybe we just or whoever revisits it next year.
Well, I'd like to say this. I'm initially when we were looking at this, I was all in favor of the intent because the picture was that we couldn't rely on anybody, and I'm in favor of us upgrading our town, the roads, the sidewalks. I'm concerned that if we kick the can down the road, we're gonna have. You're gonna see it in the town. I think we're already seeing it with no assurances that we're gonna get the project completed that I've been looking forward to in terms of streetscape. I just really feel like we have to have some self-reliance, and maybe that's not the right word, but revenue is drawn. Our revenue is our tax base. But just over the last couple weeks, I'll be honest with you. First, let me just commend you all for the effort that you put in to put the financial thing together. But the uncertainty just concerns me, really. And I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of the hardship that folks are going to be facing. It's affected my family considerably. And I'm talking young folks and older folks that still need to work and are trying to get started in their lives. there is no certainty. They're going to work every day thinking, I have no idea what's happening. It's hard to plan that way. So my view of when we should do this has changed. I think we should probably put this off for a year. I think it's a necessity that we eventually do it. I think this right now would be a bad time to do it. I just think it's just too uncertain. And I don't want to bring any hardship from the town's level, especially because we have surplus. I mean, I don't think we should put it off 5 years. I don't think we should put it off. I think next year we should really take a hard look at it and reconsider what we're doing. But I think that buys us another several months or half a year to a year to try to to assess this. I'm just concerned about the folks that we're elected to represent.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Any other old business?
Find out how to do it.
No?
So Connor also provided us the water. Are we gonna do that at another time?
Work session.
Work session, yeah, very good.
All right. Take it there's no residents' concerns.
Yeah, it's not.
Announcements, MML, hopefully everybody can make that. That will be my last one. If everybody can make that, really appreciate it. What else?
This Saturday, at 10 a.m. at the Community Meeting Center, there will be a book reading, What Would Danny Do? So bring your kids out and read a nice book.
Your neighbors,
Thinking about
friends,
it.
whoever. And then I send an email out to everybody. Let me know if you can make, some of you have already responded, but if you haven't responded, let me know if you can make the fireman's banquet. So it's a good meal. All right. Do I hear a motion to move to closed session per general provisions, Article 3-305B7?
Make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Will, can you just make sure this is only gonna take about 1 minute.
Are we staying or going?
Huh?
Are we staying?
You can if you want, it's gonna be short and sweet.
We don't all have to march back there.
Just like the rest of the meeting.
Turn everybody off.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that the
See.